Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GothamChess Slow Run. This is episode number 15, and today, finally, we will be crossing 900 ELO. We are very, very close to the threshold, to the gates where you graduate from beginner chess into early intermediate chess. People stop hanging so many queens, people stop making so many one-move blunders, people start playing more real openings against you, and so on and so forth. Of course, as always, in case you need a reminder, this is an authorized account I'm playing on chess.com. At the end of this series, everybody that I defeat will get their rating points back. Everybody who beats me, I will get my rating points back. No, I'm just kidding. So far, we are 55-0, naturally. And today, we will make that final climb. Shout out to the person in the last video, in episode number 14, who made a list of every single opening that I have played thus far. I will try to maybe keep track of it, like up here for future episodes, because we keep adding things as we go. And shout out to everybody who is also participating in the holiday challenge on Chessly, which is my educational platform. Everybody learning openings, studying, skills courses, and so on. Very exciting times. And cheers to all of you looking to improve your chess. Now, here we go. We are in the 900 club. I mean, we are just knocking on the door. We played a lot of e4. We played a lot of d4. The most popular opening recently with black has been the Scandinavian for whatever reason. I don't know if that's actually because of me. Sorry, that was me changing the volume. But in this game, we have a French defense. Okay. You don't have to know openings against the French defense, but what you should know is 2 pawns in the center is generally good protocol. And black's idea in the French defense is to play a building block opening. I call these building block openings because you stack the pawns, one protects the other, like a little building block. For now, you block your light-squared bishop, but you immediately force a decision out of white, and depending on the decision that white plays, you then develop your pieces in a certain way. So it's like a little branch. Now black knows what my possible responses are. If you don't know how to play certain openings, my recommendation would always be to just take the pawn in the center and then proceed from there with development. Now, I will play in the most challenging way. In general, the most challenging way against any opening like the French or the Caro-Kann defense is to take as much space as possible. So I'm playing what's called the advanced variation. The advanced variation is really good in the Caro-Kann defense, and it's really good in the French defense. And when the opponent tries to undermine your center, like with a pawn break, c3. So now we have created this big block. So this trade already is a slight inaccuracy by black. Black needs to keep this pressure throughout the opening. Now black is developing, but what's going to be very easy for me here is I will also develop, and these pawns are not really going to go anywhere. This move doesn't do a whole lot. So now, natural would be to just develop my other knight, right? 2 knights toward the middle, like always. And then I'm going to put my bishop here and probably castle this way. Now, when you have a space advantage in the center of the board, it makes it difficult for your opponent to develop their pieces, which you are seeing right now. A couple of episodes ago, I had a person do this against me, and what I did is I just immediately took this knight. Right on command, like right on cue, knight to h6, I just said, a space advantage in the center makes it difficult for the opponent to play traditional developing moves. Because they now have to develop in a non-traditional way, they open themselves up to very weakening maneuvers. And all of a sudden, this is a very different situation than what normally happens in the beginning of a game, right? I mean, black is just under a lot of pressure already. This pawn is very weak. The best move for black is probably a move like bishop to g5, which actually my opponent plays and counterattacks me. So I'm actually quite impressed by that. Maybe I should have just stuck to the plan of, just developing the bishop and then castling. I can make this trade. Of course, I can also just move my queen and ignore the bishop. But if I make this trade, I just want to show you something very instructive. Oh, never mind. For my opponent, it would have been a good idea to trade the queens. Because by trading queens, you can almost ensure you will not be checkmated anytime in the future. And by playing this move, now you are in a lot of trouble. So this is already a very instructive position. I'm going to try to teach and play at the same time. Of course, if you're playing here, you just think, okay, I need to develop my pieces and I need to castle my king. You could also maybe castle longside. There is already a basically winning maneuver here for white, and that maneuver is knight to b5. And the reason is I noticed that there is a weakness in the black position on d6, and if I could plant my knight there, it cannot be removed by the knight. It can also not be removed by the bishop. But if I'm just playing principal chess, then I'm going to develop a bishop and I'm going to castle, and you'll notice I don't unnecessarily do this. A lot of players just unnecessarily go pin the knight and then take it. I like to keep my bishop because I don't actually know when it's going to be useful or not. So I'm not rushing in with a move like bishop b5. So now that I've finished my development and we've reached what looks like a middle game, we can begin the process of trying to evaluate who has an advantage here, right? In case it's not clear, obviously we have the advantage given that everything that's happened in the opening, right? And we've castled, black's king is in the middle. But how do you actually evaluate like who has a better position? Material, equal in this case. King safety, it's not a question. Of course, we have the safer king compared to black. Piece placement and activity, we have the better pieces. This bishop is quite stuck. Also, this knight jump to d6 is basically fatal for black. And on top of that, you talk about pawn structure and pawn play, and we have the advantage there as well due to our space advantage, due to our control of key pawn breaks like pawn to f4, which would potentially get my rook into the game and activate more of an attack. I also have the c-file for my rook, so I just have better quality pieces, better quality pawns, and a better quality king. If I had to evaluate this position and try to give you in computer terms, I have no idea. I mean, I would probably say very close to +2, if not more, like maybe 2.3. Given all of those things. In the last episode, there was a moment where I said that an opening position was something like 0.6, according to the computer. And I've received a few comments which accused me of cheating, like just straight up said that I'm playing the slow run while looking at an engine. I mean, that's adorable. That's really stupid of you to assume, but that I need to cheat to beat 800s. But nowadays we just live in a time you can say whatever you want. Used to be able to only say that stuff when you were an anonymous troll. Now you can do it if you're a former world champ, right? So, we're living in wild times. But no, it just comes from experience. It comes from knowing positions in the opening and analyzing them. And I can say in this position, given that white has so many advantages, like black's king is in the center, black's pieces are very passive and unable to get into the game, right? Black's king is weak. We have better piece activity. Something like bringing a rook to the middle. Notice I'm not grabbing this bishop. Knights are, maybe slightly weaker than bishops, but not in a position where the knight is so dominant. So we're going to bring our rook. We're probably going to double up over here. Another nice plan here by white is to play with a pawn break. Ooh, man. I mean, I'm seeing this. I'm looking for all sorts of tactics, but I don't think there's anything here. But in this game, I will teach you how to just play sustained, pressurized chess, like just constantly just pressuring. Let's double the rooks, right? Like let's just bring 2 rooks to the c-file because that's where the king is. So our knight is a permanent problem for black. It's going to be really difficult to get rid of this knight. I'm always looking at capturing this. I'm looking at maybe rook to b3, which would attack over here. That wouldn't be an unreasonable move, rook b3. Rook b7 is a fatal knockout, so black has to defend it. Pushing the pawn would be a mistake because you would weaken the knight. So if black plays b5, that does solve the problem of the pawn for now. But still, with my second rook coming, you see I'm just adding more pressure. And I expected this move. I mean, it's a very understandable move. Now here comes another rook to the party. I've just added yet another attacker to where black's king is standing. It's just a matter of time till we break through, although it's still not completely obvious how we should win this position. And that's what makes chess so frustrating, is you can play really well, and then black can do all of this and still survive. And that's tough. Black is actually doing a very nice job here, not just like losing immediately. When I'm looking at a position like this, I'm looking to see how to get in my bishop, how to get in my queen, how to remove the defenders over here. At the end of the day, a good mini lesson here is if you don't see a knockout, like a sacrifice or a tactic, don't spend all your time. Make simple moves that don't worsen your position. I'm even talking about like king to h1. Like, time is important. If you spend all your time here trying to win the game and you don't win the game, you will flag and you will be very upset, So again, like here, I mean, there are several moves that are very good for white, but let's just, go here. Like we don't need to spend that much time. Let's redouble the rooks. We don't exactly know what our idea is, but we're trying, right? Like we're trying to find something. By the way, the bishop is pointing at this pawn, and the rook is defending. So if that rook were ever to move, I would just take this pawn for free. That's a very important thing to note. It would be really cool if these pawns got cleared off the board, because I think it would actually help me a lot. And we will analyze after this game that the move pawn to a4 was definitely a key idea. Probably a sacrifice was there as well. Also, one thing I will show you is the move pawn to f4, a pawn break to improve your position. That definitely was there. Fun fact, all these things are going to be in my second book. I'm writing a book, second book, not How to Win at Chess, which is there. The Ultimate Guide for Beginners and Beyond. It's going to be called How to Win at Chess Next Level. Hey, I literally predicted what happens if this rook moves. Boom, free pawn. Now we have a good position and a free pawn. That's always a good thing. And we might even win a second free pawn. All right, I'm looking here. I'm like, that looks like that looks like, now we just got 2 extra pawns, right? And my opponent's actually doing a pretty good job here, all things considered, defending themselves. They're trying to get rid of my bishop here. I'm gonna give them an opportunity here to really prove just how strong they are. Let's see if they chase me away. Okay, well, g3 is a little crazy. G3, I think I can take with a pawn. Also, now I can take with a rook, right? Like, I can now start simplifying. Out of nowhere, we have a 3-pawn advantage, right? So, but I think my opponent did all of this with a very creative idea in mind. I think black is going to create an h-file attack down to my king. This is a new level. Like, we have really hit a new level here. As we're going through the rating climb, like look, if black plays queen h7, I am nearly lost. I'm literally just like almost losing. Queen h7 if black comes up with this, that's really impressive. This is really impressive stuff. Now I have to run my king. I'm actually just straight up checkmated if I don't run my king. So sometimes I'm giving my opponent a little bit of a chance because I'm honestly just kind of impressed. Like, I had to run my king to the middle. It's actually a miracle I'm surviving here. I'm up a lot of pawns, which obviously still gives me the advantage. But yeah, at some point during the slow run, I'm going to have to like really change my strategy. I'm going to have to change my, I'm going to just have to always go completely ruthless, because that was extremely impressive counterplay from a 900 level player, and shows you how to come back from a position, even when you are like hopelessly tied down and not moving at all. This queen is hanging, which means that black really doesn't have anything else except going back. And actually here, I think I have a checkmate, which is very tough to spot. But something like this is why you do puzzles, because here, white has a check, which doesn't look possible. White has queen to a5 check, and the knight cannot take the queen because of the pin. This is like a 1400 level tactic. With this much time on the clock, I understand it looks simple, but in a game to find queen a5 check, not easy. It's a ghost move. And now black only has this. That's it. That's actually the only legal move. And after queen b6, it's mate. It's mate on the next move, queen b7 check. It's a mate in 3. It actually could be in Puzzle Rush, queen a5. It's a very instructive little puzzle. And that was definitely like a game which had everything. I mean, now that I'm graduating into high 800, low 900 territory, this game was anything but simple. It was anything but simple. So let's do a little analysis. If you're going to play e4, there were so many critical moments. If you're going to play e4 and you're going to get hit with French, or you're going to get hit with Caro-Kann defense, just kind of winging it against these openings is possible. If you do wing it, I recommend taking, because the position is very easy. If you don't want to learn any openings, you develop the knight, you develop the bishop, or you even play with 2 pawns, and then you go knight, knight, bishop, bishop, like simple chess. The problem with e5, right, is that you're getting into a grappling match with somebody who knows the techniques. They know how to, get your leg in a certain position or your arm twisted behind your back, and suddenly they're attacking you like this. And now you have to keep the integrity of your structure. Still, the advanced variation against both the French and the Caro-Kann are considered the best, because now black is playing at a disadvantage, a spatial disadvantage. They are not developing the pieces on the natural squares, and that's why the computer really likes this. approach. Now, in this game, I played c3. My opponent did this, and in accuracy, black should, for the duration of the opening, apply pressure. Black should not immediately clear the pressure, because suddenly they have no way to develop their pieces. Suddenly it's +1. And this move we took here, I definitely should have just, developed the pieces and castled. Bishop g5 was a good move, in my opinion. I like this move. And now, the best move for white is to just immediately smash the pawn. No 900 is ever going to do that. The computer says it's +1.5. My move just developing and castling was also good. The other idea I thought here was knight b5, just like winning the game. I guess here the drawback is that black can still castle. And how do you even come up with moves like knight b5, knight d6? Knight b5, knight d6 in the next book, How to Win at Chess Next Level, is in the chapter on how to use your pieces, and particularly knight outposts, which are squares in the opponent's position where a knight can plant itself, or a bishop, but usually a knight, and put a lot of pressure, attack targets, dominate certain spaces, prevent movement, and a square that your piece cannot be easily removed from. And so knight b5 is exactly that. Like knight b5, knight d6 here would be very strong. My opponent already is struggling here because castling is going to be a problem. One more thing, queen g5. I did say, look, it's +2, but if I trade, it's 0.5. Look at that. I lose almost all of my advantage if I trade queens, but I keep my advantage if I reject the queen trade, and these pawns together all protect the center. This check doesn't matter because we will just kick the queen out. This position is crushing for white because I have a massive wall of pawns that won't let black develop or push or anything. I'm also threatening knight b5 whenever I want it. And at the very minimum, this is just crushing. I mean, black's bishop can't get into the game very easily. I dominate, structurally. This pawn structure is very bad. There are some hopes for black, but overall white has a very strong advantage. Now in the game, I went knight b5, and then I put my knight here, and the advantage is now +3.7. And so the instructive moment that I wanted to show here is, in this position, wow, I said it's +2 point something. It's +4, which shows you I don't have stockfish on while playing these games. And even if I, how do you even come to that conclusion? I'm 2,900 blitz. You think I need stockfish to beat these people? Just so stupid. Anyway, rook c1, right? And I was saying it's like +2.5 in my opinion, because we have, black has a weak king. We have, more piece activity. We control, the future with the knights and the bishops and everything. And the other chapter in How to Win at Chess Next Level is about pawn play and pawn breaks. And whoever controls the pawn breaks in the position will generally control the game. A pawn break is a spot in a position you can offer a pawn trade to either gain space, activate one of your pieces, clear the path for your pieces to create a target, or frankly play defense. The best move for black in this position is pawn to f6, because it's trying to remove my grip of the center. And wouldn't you know it, the best move for white in this position after f6 is f4. Actually, the best move for white, even I think before rook c1 was played, is f4. Because when you play the move f4, you make it really difficult for, it's not quite the best move, but it's really difficult now for black, because if black takes, hello, hello, and you have a new piece entering the party, and if they go here, guess what? That pawn is going forward. So the rook suddenly participates, which it wasn't participating earlier. So keeping an eye on the pawn breaks in the position will quickly raise you into the 4 digits. Now here, I did everything right, and queen a5 was actually already the winning move, but I didn't want to play it just yet, because I wanted to kind of prolong the game a little bit. But queen a5 check already is crushing, because after rook b6, white has a breakthrough here. A mini lesson in and of itself. Anytime you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces swarming a king, you generally have a knockout punch. In this case, the knockout punch is sacrificing the bishop, because what happens here is you have queen a7 check, which is just so nasty, and it's pinned, and you gotta move your king. If you go here, I take it with the knight. So if you don't see bishop takes b5, at least you have a4. Remember to use your pawns. Remember to use your pawns to break apart pawns. So when you have 5 pieces attacking a king, almost always you're going to have something. Almost always. But a move like a4 would have been really important for me at any moment to just break apart the pawn defense. Even when b5 was played here, I feel like I could have sacrificed. Although now I'm not 100% sure. But like something like this, I definitely had to sacrifice. Ultimately, I went pawn chasing, and this was not the best. But hey, how about my opponent who came up with the idea to sack the pawn? And, you know, like, this is nearly winning. I mean, during the game, I was saying, oh, I have to run away. That's because queen a5 check, like, I wanted to save that for instructional reasons. But, folks, the whole idea to even open my h-file is fantastic. It's a fantastic defensive idea, and if you play like this at this level, this stuff will work. This was great by black, you know, great. And then finally I had queen a5. I had it even back here, so hopefully if you were watching, you didn't have like a migraine, you know, because I wasn't playing all the best moves. If I just played ruthlessly and tried to win every game in like 10 moves, I'm not sure that would be as fun, but, you know, I'm trying to be instructive. Okay, let's go Caro Kann. You know, I feel like I played enough Scandinavians. We're playing a Caro Kann. At the end of the last video, okay, we have a 2 knights Caro Kann. So the opponent has developed the 2 pieces. What I like to do here, let's just take. I'm playing this in the exact same way as I played in the previous episode. Bishop to f5 attacks the knight. Okay, opponent defends. Now, if I were to take the knight, I could take the queen and white can't castle. That is an option. That might, you know, that might appeal to you. That might appeal to you because now, you know, white can't castle, which is cool. And we're just going to develop and we're just going to play chess. So right now we're attacking the pawn in the center. And next we will go e6, develop our dark squared bishop, develop our knight. Everything will be chill. We can also play knight d7 and castle right away. But since we traded the light squared bishop early, we want to have a rock solid light square structure. So the white light squared bishop can't really do anything nasty to us. I kind of like this simple position. Some of you might not like trading the queen so early, and frankly speaking, taking the knight is probably not the best move. This move in many ways prevents white's development with the bishop. Knight d4, I don't see where the knight is going, so maybe just the bishop c5 to attack it. Now the best move for white is undoubtedly bishop to e3. But bishop e3 comes into fire of some of my pieces. Yes, I was expecting this move. And now I will show you a very, very important maneuver for you know, early middle game battles. A lot of you here would probably play a move like, you know, castles. But you can get this bishop. Don't be shy with your pieces in the early game. Knight to g4 is a very annoying move for white. Remember, like at the end of the day, in a regular board, a knight is slightly worse than a bishop. Like trading a knight for a bishop straight up is generally good. Sometimes it's not. But in this case, you would be damaging the structure, right? And these pawns would become doubled and isolated on the e file. So knight g4 is sort of should just be an automatic move. Like, hey, let me go trade that. This would have been different. Just giving up my bishop for the knight would have made a lot less sense. But if you take a knight with a bishop and it opens the king or it doubles the pawn structure, like, that's good. I hope my opponent isn't going to take with the king. You never use... Okay, very good. You never use the king as a primary defender. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, I want to develop my knight, or I want to castle, or I want to castle this way. Let's just castle short. I don't think it's the best move, but next we will develop our knight. We got to put our rooks in the middle, and let's learn how to play an endgame like an advanced beginner. I mean, how do you play this position? How on earth do you beat somebody here? Half the pieces are gone. What do you do? Well, as always, we use checks, captures, threats when we need it. We also try to play blunder-proof. So, what does this move do? I don't know. Okay, let's just develop our knight to the middle. Rooks to the middle as well, you know? Where are we moving our rook? Knight to g5. What does that do? I don't know, really. I'm not going to give a check for no reason. I'm going to put my rook in the center. Now, my knight would be fantastic there. It's almost an outpost. It's not quite an outpost. Okay, this is... like, you see how people, even at 900, like, if they can do a check, they will literally explode if they can check you. Like, it's just... But like, I can take this, and you can't even You cannot go for tactical play in the endgame. Like when it's a knight and bishop and some rooks, stop the tactical part of your brain, the caveman brain. Oh, me give check. Oh, no. No, you have to use all your pieces. Your rooks have to come to the center. Yeah, like now I'm just totally winning because my opponent's position is in a bit of a disarray. I can already begin simplifying. This is a case of like a knight for a bishop trade that's probably fine. I wouldn't hate it, you know, if you did something like that, but we have better. Like we can definitely shoot for better. We can play several things here. I think the easiest when you have all this going on is like just kick the knight out. Just don't even, like, why even participate in the drama, you know? We had some other moves, like we had knight c4 check because of this. We have like some checks, but just, yeah. Okay, our bishop is hanging. We already know we can give this check. Some of you would play hope chess, bishop b4 check, pawn to c3. We take the bishop. Let's see if hope chess works out. I kind of think white is just going to go king e2, but sometimes it works out and you feel really smart. They cannot play pawn to c3. That would lose. They have to go king e2. It's the only way to prevent losing a pawn. Let's see if they spot that. But, you know, sometimes hope chess works out. All right, it didn't work out this time. Let's play this move. Attacking a knight in one move. Maybe not the best move, but, you know, we take some space. Every time you push a pawn, we did create a weakness, so this pawn could be a little bit weak in the long run. We are up a pawn now. We did win a pawn, so we're probably, you know, probably in the state of the game that we can start trading some pieces. Okay, now they play this move, which makes a whole lot what? So hope chess did work out in the end because we can just take the bishop and then we can take the knight. Okay, that was weird. That was like some delayed impact, and now we just won 2 pieces. So even at this level, it takes 20 moves instead of 10 or 5, but people are still making tactical mistakes. Hey, folks, now you just go into immediate simplify mode. Simplify. Simplify. I don't care. I see all these free pawns. You have to be disciplined. Discipline. Simplification. Your opponent will never beat you with just the king. I mean, if they do, it's time to quit chess, really. If you can't win this position. If you lose this position with black and you're rated like 900, I'm sorry. Just get out of here. Like, just checkers, battleship, whatever. You know, really. PUBG, I mean, something else. Now it's easy. Now, how do you win this position? You eat as many pawns as you can fit in your mouth. Knight b4, knight d3 back, and then you start bringing your king, and you need to prevent the counterplay. You spot where the pawns can come down. In this endgame, the king doesn't have to move. In many endgames, the king does have to move. In this endgame, you just eat everything. I mean, you eat this guy, doesn't matter. And now, like, you eat whatever they offer you, you eat it, and then you bring the knight, and you just go with the pawns. You go with the pawns. Go with the pawns. Just go. Don't stalemate, but just go. If they stop you, you bring the other pawns. They're gonna stop you, you bring the pawns. You bring the other pawns. You have a million pawns here. White doesn't have a single pawn move, right? They're gonna go king b3, bring the next pawn. They go here, bring the next pawn. Move your knight, bring the next pawn. Of course, if you had pawns here, we would just push them. Another way to win this is to win this pawn and then, you know, push the pawns. Push the pawns. Now, there are ways to stalemate here. Make no mistake, you could stalemate by accident, but just don't. Like, why would you do that? Do you have enough time? Don't stalemate. Now white has to choose here which pawn to go after, and the other one will move, and we will win. That will be very nice. King here, king here, king here, king here. We push the other pawn, and we win. All right. Okay. Boom. It's actually, is it stalemate? Nope. King b3. Legal move. Now, sometimes in positions like this, it can be a little tricky because the king gets tangled in your pieces like this, and you are a little worried you're going to stalemate. And yeah, I mean, as long as you see a legal move for the opponent, you can just kind of make another queen. In my experience, that is the easiest thing to do. Like, as long as you're like, oh, there is a legal move? Okay, then I will proceed with the next queen. Now things will be easier because you always can give a check. So if the knight moves, it's a check. If the queen comes back here or here, they're actually, yeah, queen c7 is actually mate in 1. That's a hard move to spot, though. I think most people would play something like this. And now the king will go to a5. And this is easy because it's actually a ladder mate. You have queen a3, queen a6. I think that might be it because king has to go here. Oh, here's a nice stalemate. You can move the knight and it's stalemate. Don't do that, right? And that would be that would be how we would convert this one. So what happened in this game? The last game was a game where we had a space advantage in the opening. Black messed up the development, so we immediately capitalized. Then we started a big attack. Black sort of panicked, gave us 3 pawns, but then went for a bit of counterplay, and then we finished the game off. It was a very back and forth game, actually. It looked seamless. This game was the opposite. In this game, by like the 10th move, we traded a bunch of pieces, right? So I took in the center in the Caro-Kann. I attacked the knight. I wanted to develop my pieces. This is not a good move. I mean, good is relative. It's a better move here for black to play like e6. The computer really likes the positions where it loses the right to castle but maintains 2 bishops. I know this from experience and studying different openings, like the Breyer variation, knight to f3, d5, d3, for any dumbasses who think that I'm playing these games with the engine on. Just clarify that one more time. Anyway, I know from experience the computer actually prefers these positions with white. As a practical player, though, like, people losing the right to castle is a big deal because for the majority of the, rating ladder, you're kind of taught, like, you got to castle. I used to love to do this to people, to trade their queen and, leave their king in the middle and then just develop my pieces. I think this is a very easy way to play. If you don't want to play this way, you don't want to trade so many pieces in the beginning because it's really a style thing. Some people like to trade queens and pieces, some don't. Then just play e6 and then play like knight f6. I'm not recommending knight f6 right away because they could damage your pawn structure, but even this is like okay, as long as you develop, and castle kind of resembles a Tartsikower variation. But this game was more endgame style, I developed, my opponent went here, and I immediately showed you how to make advantageous exchanges in the beginning of a game, right? Knight g4, knight takes e3. Look at the evaluation here. It goes from 0.3, small advantage for white, to a full 1 point turnaround just purely off of this trade. Just off of this trade where you have damaged pawn structure, you lost your bishop pair, which is an innate advantage, and, this plan to go e5, it's like -2. It's just not good. What you needed to do here with white is you needed to move your king out of the middle, and then you had to centralize your rooks and play with your rooks, because ultimately they are endgame pieces and you are leaving them on the home squares. You went to battle with 2 pieces. 2 of your little soldiers went to stumble around and go do stuff, whereas I brought all my pieces to the game, right? And then I went f5, attacking your knight, kicking it out, and then, we had this blunder. We had a blunder of some material here. So it happens, it happens. All right, we keep going. We keep going. B3. Wow, we haven't had a B3. Okay. I just made a course on B3. Maybe my opponent's playing my course against me. Let's go E5. We take the center if you give it to us. This pawn's under attack. We have to defend it, and I will take the center with 2 pawns. Okay, I'll take the center with 2 pawns, happily. All right, it's knights versus bishops, baby. Knights versus bishops. Who's going to win? I'm playing principled. My opponent's playing kind of like this, new age type of stuff. No problem. Now I can develop my bishops a little more actively or a little more passively with bishop e6, just supporting the center. I can also just develop this bishop and castle. Both moves are good. It's very tough to say what's good here. Let's just develop a piece and see what happens. Knight f3. That move already has a consequence, actually. That move is attacking this pawn. So I cannot just develop. I actually, and this is, you got to pay attention to this stuff, right? Now I can defend it with the queen, and that could prepare castling. I could also push the pawn, which is actually a reasonable move. Both moves are okay. Another interesting move, you could go d4 and block the bishop. That's kind of a rarer move. You also have knight to g4, which attacks f2. More on that later. I am always a believer in getting a new piece into the game, so I'm just going to play queen e7. And I'm not going to stress too much about it. Right? But again, we had many options there. We could have done a handful of things. And yeah, like now we can develop the bishop somewhere. Better probably not to block our defense of this pawn. So let's go over here. Anytime you move a bishop in an enemy territory like this, you can expect a move like pawn to h3. e4. So when I see that move, I'm like, can't I just take it 2 times? I have 2 things. Can't I just go here? My advanced experience of this position and positions similar tells me with a king in the center, it could be dangerous. However, as a 900, I'm like, I don't get it. Show me the money. Pawn to h3 is on the board. So my bishop is hanging, right? Now, if in this position I were to take the knight, my opponent would obviously open up. So why don't I just slide back? Why would I do that, right? I did say more on that later about the f2 square. I said I can go knight to g4 and target f2. So here is the more on that later. We have arrived at the more on that later. I have 2 things pointed in this direction, right? So I do have a tactic here which is very unique, which is taking the pawn on g3. That's a very rare type of move. If you don't spot something like that, and instead you're like, hey, let me just clear this out of the center of the board just so I feel a little bit more confident here. At this point, the next move you should probably make is some sort of a castle. You have a lot of moves here, like rook d8 attacking the queen, e4 even attacking the knight. I really implore you, you will avoid so many losses. You will not lose so many more games if you just get the king out of the middle, because you will stop being under attack all the time. All right, now we have escaped the opening. They want our bishop. We just slide back. We've escaped the opening with simply an extra pawn. We have an extra pawn. It's this one, it's the one that we took. So now we have an extra pawn. I think white is going to go rook e1. Yeah, white is playing very reasonably. So this is under attack 3 different times. It's only defended once and twice. Remember that if you defend it with the rook, you are not actually defending it because your queen is the primary defender. So that wouldn't work. Can we defend it with the pawn? Yeah, probably. Can we defend it by sliding back the bishop? Yeah, but I don't see anything wrong with pawn to f6. But so far, I mean, this is a decent player with white, man. I mean, this is a new level. 900 is really the cutoff for good play. Now we have a tactic here. This is where you're going to have to start getting a bit tactical. And the opponent goes knight h4. The idea is to grab our bishop. If you play simple chess here, like I have to move my bishop, otherwise it's going to get taken, you're going to lose a lot of games. That's just like, because the opponent will constantly dictate what's happening. They're going to go here, and then you're going to have to like keep fighting back. I'm like, hey, this is defended. Why don't we use this as an opportunity to like counterattack the queen maybe? But just to be instructive, I'm going to show you what happens if you constantly play defense. Look, now the opponent's going to go knight f5. In 5 seconds, the opponent's going to play knight f5. I already have a tactic here, by the way, taking on f2, king f2, queen c5. Right now, I can play bishop f2 and queen c5. But if every move you're defensive, you're like, oh, my queen's hanging. Where do I move my queen? Let me bring the queen back 1 square. Like, every move you're defensive, white here is playing a bully style. Up 2 minutes on the clock, like every move is a threat. Even though white is down a pawn, it doesn't feel that way, as white is playing very aggressively. Bishop c6 is officially a very bad move, though. Now here you're going to go, wait a minute. If I take with the queen, they have this fork, so I'm going to take with the pawn. No, they don't. The knight was covered, right? But you're kind of like reeling because the opponent's playing so fast. You're not processing tactics accurately, so you're making a lot of bad decisions in a row. Okay, queen f3. That's still not even a threat, by the way. Now you're like, okay, it's time for me to go. I gotta activate bishop d5. I'm activating my pieces. Let's go. Bishop d5 attacks the queen. Now comes the part of the game where we start standing up to the bully. I think the opponent is going to try to do something crazy like this because I think he has a very one-track mind. I think he's going to just try to checkmate me no matter what. This knight is extremely annoying, by the way. It's causing me a lot of problems. I don't like it, I don't like that it's there. If I try to kick it out, it's just going to get closer. I really it's unpleasant. You got to stop these things before they actually become a problem, right? But yeah, getting to 1,000 is not easy. You're going to lose a lot of games to players like this because this is the worst style. This is a very annoying style that my opponent has. Very good player, not making a lot of big mistakes, and definitely kind of like a bully approach. But the thing about this person is ultimately they will make some mistake, and that's when we're gonna. Well, they've already made some, but Now we gotta, we gotta switch gears and go for it. Now, okay, my opponent plays queen to d3. I don't know what that does. I do not know. So, the idea of bringing the rook to the center cannot be bad. It's kind of like the same approach as always. These bishops are really, really strong. I need to bring my queen to help. Like maybe, okay, rook d1 to be expected. Yes. I really want to play pawn to h5 so that after pawn to h5, I can then bring my queen and maybe potentially start a counterattack on the king. It's one thing that I'm considering here. But let's see what happens. Pawn to b4. Okay, our bishop is under attack. We can rotate it back to b6. I didn't want to go this way. I felt like it was a bit passive. This move made a lot of sense. a4. Very aggressive player. And actually, these last couple of moves, not bad at all. I'm looking at, I'm looking at kind of counterattacking the queen somehow. I'm looking at pawn here. Can I play... a6 is kind of miserable, Like I'm not so thrilled about this, I have to say. I should have probably been a little bit more ruthless. Let's go pawn to a6. Not thrilled. Maybe the opponent's going to quickly take this. Give me a chance. a5. Okay, very aggressive. Bishop a7. Will they spot queen a6? Am I getting outplayed by an 882? Is that what's happening? This is very impressive. King f... Okay, I don't think I'm getting outplayed by an 882. Unless king f1's the best move, in which case, damn. All right, I spotted something. I see a queen and a king on the same diagonal. I'm going for nasty business over here with bishop to c4. I am going for nasty business with bishop to c4. Does my opponent spot it? Wow. Are they going to go knight back to e3? Is that what's happening? They did not. Unless... Okay. There is knight e7 check, but like, surely not, right? Surely white does not see knight e7, king h8, knight g6, right? Right? That would be crazy. Wow! Okay. Now knight g6 is possible. Will they spot knight g6? So the idea is that if I take the knight, they can take my bishop. Now, I don't quite think this works completely, but king h7 I have, knight f8 here, king here, and I think I win the queen in the end, but... Wow. Sometimes I blunder in these things, man. Sometimes I blunder. There also is knight e7, but then I just block. This is a double check, and then I would go king g8, and I would keep the pin on the queen. I mean, if this is really who is 880, y'all, the rating ladder is just brutal. I mean, I gotta tell you, like, this is ridiculous. This dude really found knight e7, knight g6? This is bananas. Who are these people? Now I'm winning. I have an extra queen, and it's check. Now, the way we're gonna clean this up is we're gonna win all the pieces. We're gonna play rook takes rook. I'm gonna take this rook. And this is mate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was, what was that? That was like, this is like hard work, man. This is hard work. All these games are losable. If I was like a 1200, that game was totally losable. Totally losable. All right, let's take a look at this. So we played normal chess in the opening. The opponent went e4, right? Takes, and I took a pawn. Up until this point, I feel like I explained everything pretty clearly. At this point already, the computer is saying it's minus 4.4. The reason is here we can already begin ignoring threats, improving our position, and walloping the white pieces. For a free tempo here, after rook d8, I just attack the queen, and white has to move the queen, right? After going bishop h5 and getting chased away, now my advantage is slightly smaller, and after this trade, it's quite small. So basically the lesson is, when your opponent has lost a pawn, right, and isn't quite playing the right way, kind of playing very loosey-goosey, there is a punishment always lurking. It's in the form generally of a hammering, improving move that adds a piece to the position that normally wouldn't have been added, with a threat that's stronger than one on your pieces. But if you take your foot off the gas like I kind of did, this is not an easy position. So I played this move f6. White played knight h4. And after bishop f7, white played knight f5. White played two great moves in a row. Went from -4 to -0.7. Here the best move for white is definitely not bishop takes c6. You absolutely cannot play moves like bishop takes c6, right? Like, this is, your bishop is your pride and joy, and you just completely give it away for, for no reason. But I just want to show you how, my point was how miscalculations affect the position. Like here, if I play queen c6, I'm just crushing. I mean, my queen gets out. I immediately threaten the discovered tactic on c3, and knight e7 is not a thing. But if you just keep playing defensively, which is what I did in this game, to kind of prove a point and show a couple things, right? Queen d3 was played. Here my opponent went rook d1. This is problematic. Problematic for sure, And I didn't have that good of a position. Bishop here. My opponent went, b4, a4. I played a6. My opponent very quickly went a5. And here, white needed to play queen takes a6. That's what white needed to do to follow it up. Look, white got back to an equal position because I was just playing so passively, right? I was trying to show you that, white, if you play passively, you're going to lose a lot of your advantage very often. King f1 was dreadful, though. King f1. Oh, actually, against king f1, I could have won the queen in one move. Bishop g2 check. Look at that. I think I was a little rattled by how well white was playing. I was like a little bit flabbergasted. And then here I was like, but I wanted to show this tactic. And I totally forgot about bishop g2. Wow, that's awesome. What a mistake by me. Bishop g2, king g2, rook d3. That is why you always look for checks. But my opponent made it a little easier for me and just played this move. And yeah, this was a... And then they found knight e7, knight g6, knight f8, king g8. So my opponent immediately found the best sequence, but luckily I was able to dance my way out of it. I think king h6 is also winning here. Yeah, and then they lost every single piece. That is how it goes sometimes. That is how it goes. I can't remember if I have updated the points. I think I did. We play one more game, and we make it to 900 territory. Okay, I've been playing e4 a lot. Let's play e4 one more time. Why not? d5, yet another Scandinavian defense. Unbelievable what I have done to the world. We play knight to c3. Another queen e6. This is not what I have done to the world. I do not teach this nonsense. Are we going to get this? Okay. And why are you people putting your queens on e6? No, this is just bad. Look, I can just fork you. No. No, you guys gotta stop playing like this. You have to... No! No! Now I just have an extra knight! It's move 7! I just have an extra knight. Why are you guys doing this? I'm mad. This is not what I taught in the Scandinavian. Come on. Come on. Will my opponent find knight b4? Okay, they're just playing every move in like 2 seconds. Okay, h3. You're gonna take? 2 seconds. Let's go. Go. Fast. Quick move. Quick move. Let's go. No? Not fast? Okay, fine. I thought he was just gonna play every move really fast. Knight here. Every move. Bishop back. Defend my pawn. This is a very different game than the last game. b4. Okay, I stop you. You're gonna play a5? One track mind. c5. Okay. I develop my bishop. I want to take the knight because I have an extra material because you gave it to me on the 5th move. Stop putting your pieces like that, guys. Stop it. Well, okay? I'm going to be ruthless to people who are violating principles at the 900 level. I really will. I also have bishop g4 here. I mean, it's just free pawns galore. It's just all the pawns are free. All the pawns are free. This is a good immediate tactic, by the way, may I say. But I'm just going to defend my bishop. Otherwise, I was going to lose my knight. I could have also taken this, probably. I had knight a7. Should have spotted that. But sometimes, you know, you can't always play the best moves. Now I will play it. Actually, now I think it's a bad move. But king b7, and now you need to see king and rook on the same line, just like the king and queen in the last game, and boop. What's funny is I'm getting very careless. I think I was a little annoyed with how this went down, with how my opponent played. So I think I've been getting a little careless. Let's play knight b5. I don't want to lose my knight. See, had I gone takes, I would have lost my knight. This way, I'm gonna still probably get the rook and the bishop. That's a good move. Now I take the rook, take the bishop. That was not the cleanest way, but here's how you win the endgame. a4. Look, I don't have to do anything. Outside pass pawn. Just push it. Push it all the way. Push it all the way. Rook behind the pawn. This rook is going to have to play defense. My two rooks and my pass pawn are just going to win me the game. How different this game than the last game, huh? Last game was a battle. Was an absolute battle between me and my opponent. I think my opponent is deciding whether to take my pawn or to stop me, or maybe my opponent is getting a phone call. Anyway. Okay. That doesn't stop me, and if you take this pawn, I simply know either of these rooks can. You cannot. You have no pieces left. This person plays too fast. This person plays too fast. Don't do this. Don't play this fast. Rook on the 2nd or 7th rank. Eat, everybody. Eat, 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 eat. No, this is not good. We can't have games like this. I'm making another queen. I'm making another queen. What? You didn't even take my queen? That was crazy. I mean, come on. What was that? That game was over in like 3 minutes. Look, if you're going to play the Scandinavian defense, it's absurd to me people are playing queen e6 check. It's like the 4th time this has happened in the slow run. Hey, just develop and take the center. You see, in this position, I could have just castled, and that's what I have been doing for about 50 games. But, folks, you're just leaving yourself open to problems playing like this. Your queen can't be in front of all the pawns. If the queen is in front of all the pawns, the queen has no way back. Queen is going to be bouncing around here, you know, like a crazy person at a bus stop. Like, you can't play like this. And then you go here and just hang the queen. I mean, hang a fork. So it's played in 6 seconds. I'm disappointed, honestly, with how we did it. I mean, we have crossed 900, but we do still see very, very varying levels of the game, and it really depends on how fast people play. Also, I'm playing somebody it's late at night where they are, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they're drinking a little bit of the good stuff, or, you know, puffing a little bit of the good stuff, or maybe they're just, I don't know, not having a good day. It happens. Sometimes you're tilted. But you can't you're not going to bring yourself any success putting the pieces out like that. You just won't. It's not going to happen. You're not going to. So, interesting games today for sure. I hope that was instructive. I hope it was instructive how to evaluate a position, pawn breaks. We will do some of these summaries at the end. We did pawn breaks, piece maneuvers, and outposts, evaluating a position, choosing a middle game plan, coordinating an attack, creating counterplay. All of these things were covered today. A little bit of endgame prowess as well, bringing the pieces to the middle, avoiding tactical play when not a lot of pieces are on the board. Early exchanges, knights for bishop, bishop for knight, when to do it, when not to do it. All instructive. I hope you enjoy. You know where to find me if you want more content. YouTube channel, Chessly, my educational platform. Any of my books, including Chess for Babies. And that's all I have for you today. Get out of here.